Hello everyone. If you're like me, then you have been doing your work. You have food stored back. Maybe you've gotten into dehydrating, which is always fun. Do a lot of that. Maybe you just go to the store and you buy dry goods like beans, rice, stuff like that. You're putting them back because you want your family to be safe and well fed in case shit hits the fan, in case the economy collapses, in case a nuclear war happens, in case of a natural disaster, whatever the case may be, that you will need these supplies that you've put back. And you may be sitting there patting yourself on the back and saying, hey, I did it. I'm brilliant. I put all this stuff back to my family. And while that is true, good job. It's very important that you do that. There are some things that most people don't think about to add to their list. In my case, for a long time, I was putting back food. And then all of a sudden it kind of hit me. I was like, wait a minute, food's not the only thing I need to be keeping. So what I've tried to do in this video for everybody is put together a top 5 list of the most forgotten things, the things that people forget the most, to add to their long-term storage. So with that said, here we go. Number 5 on this list is clothing. Now you might think that's kind of silly, but in a real situation where the economy collapses, it's total anarchy. Now granted, this is the worst case scenario. This isn't for just your normal flooding or your hurricane or, bad blizzard where you're stuck in your house for a week. This is the case of the economy has collapsed, the government has collapsed. You're talking anarchy, you're talking 1800s living, you're talking having to fend for yourself long term. In a case like that, clothing is going to be important, or at least the fabric to make clothing, if you know how to make clothing. You don't really have to, I think, worry about outgrowing your clothing unless you're a kid. I mean, us adults, we don't really grow much except for outwards. We do get fat. But in a survival kind of situation, I don't think you'll be getting very fat because you're going to be rationing your food. But your clothing will wear out, especially if you're out there, farming and hunting your own food and growing your own food. You're going to go through your clothing. So there will be times when your pants wear out, your shirts wear out, you get holes in your stuff. A good thing to do, definitely learn how to sew, man. There ain't no shame for a man to sew. You need to learn how to do all these things for yourself. Don't ever rely on anybody else, man or woman, to do anything for you. Learn everything. Learn as much stuff as you can possibly learn because you never know who's going to be with you. So definitely learn how to sew, learn how to repair your clothing. But I would suggest when you go to like Walmart or places like that and you see stuff on sale, you know how they always have like the $3 shirts and they have pants sometimes that go down to, $8 or $9. Pick up an extra pair or two and just put them back. One, it'll help your overall budget if nothing does happen. I mean, if shit never does hit the fan and you never need any of this stuff that you're preparing, hey man, you've got some clothes that you paid a very little amount of money for, and when you need to, update your wardrobe because your stuff starts to wear out, you already have it, and you didn't pay a lot of money for it, so it's a win. If the situation happens where you actually need the stuff, you've got it. You don't have to worry about walking around with your ass hanging out because you didn't think to buy another pair of pants. So I would choose number 5 as clothing on my list. Number 4 on this list is going to be soap. Now, soap is a thing that we all kind of take for granted. And I never really considered that I might need to put it back for long-term storage because it's just kind of always there. When you buy soap, you buy it in these giant packs, at least I do at Walmart, like 12 bars or something. And hell, you never even think about it again until you're out of it. But soap is very important because when you're talking a situation where you may not be able to get to a hospital or hospitals may not even be active, preventing disease and keeping yourself clean is very important. There's so much bacteria and so much just viruses and terrible things that get all over you every single day. In a situation where you're kind of on your own, you're going to want to make sure especially your hands are clean, because you're going to be eating with your hands. You're going to be wiping your eyes with your hands. You're going to be doing all kinds of things. And you want to make sure that you're clean, because that'll prevent illness. It will just keep things more sanitary and more pleasurable. And a lot of things, man, like with survival, it's not always just about staying alive. I mean, yeah, that's the ultimate goal. You want to stay alive. You don't want to die. That's the whole point of survival, is not dying. But another big part of it is the mental part, man. I've been out in the bush before for weeks, and I've been very successful as far as gathering food, having water, being able to stay alive. But it's those times at 3 o'clock in the morning, man, when you're all alone and your mind starts to wander, and you start to just miss people and miss everything. It's that mental part of survival that's the most important, I think. That's what helps people to survive, is the will to survive. And a lot of that comes from a lot of the creature comforts. I mean, if you have just a little something with you from home, a lot of times when you're out in the woods, just a little photograph or something that you like to do that can make you smile, that you can bring with you, it helps. And I think in a long-term survival situation, you're going to have the same kind of situation going on. Something like soap, being able to be clean, is not only good for, sanitary reasons and good for germ reasons, but it's also good just from a mental boost reason, because you feel like a human being after you've had a nice bath or a shower and you've cleaned up. You're not all grimy and dirty. I know one of my favorite things when I come out of the woods, after a weekend or something, is you're all dirty and smelly and just covered in just all kinds of nasty stuff. And to be able to get clean again, to be able to get that shower and wash up is really an amazing thing. So number 4 on my list is going to be soap, for many reasons, not only the sanitary and health reasons, but also for just keeping your mind in the game. Number 3 on this list is toilet paper. Now this one is one that I never even considered. And it's funny because I really should have considered this. When you sit and you think of a list of things that you need every day, toilet paper is pretty high up there. And the reason I actually thought of this and to add it to the list is one time last winter, we had a bad blizzard here, and we were stuck for about 4 days where we couldn't get out of the house. Now, being a prepper, I have tons and tons and tons of food. I have everything I need. But I hadn't been to the store, and I only had a partial roll of toilet paper. I'm talking like a quarter roll of toilet paper left. And nothing in the cupboard to replace it. And it got down to the point where the toilet paper was gone. And I was using paper towels or tissues or whatever the hell I could find that would mimic toilet paper. And that's when it really hit me. I thought, man, if stuff really gets bad and I need to rely on all this stuff that I've been putting back, if the worst case scenario actually happens, I'm not going to have toilet paper. That's something I haven't put back. That's something I haven't thought of. And paper towels and toilet tissue, Kleenex, will only last so long. You're going to go through those pretty quickly. Then you're going to be talking strips of cloth or wash rags or, heaven forbid, leaves or grass or something like that. It's something that you really ought to think about, because not only do you have the sanitary, reasons for wanting to be clean, down there, you also have just the mental part of it. I mean, if you're walking around and you can't wipe, that's going to be a big distraction. It's going to be a big issue for you. You're really not going to feel good about yourself. And this is something I never, ever considered until I ran out. And it really opened my eyes and made me think, hey, I better make sure I stock some of this up, because if a situation happens where I'm relying on this stuff and I don't have toilet paper, I'm not going to be a very happy camper. And it's not, like I said before about soap, it's not always just about staying alive, man. It's about the quality of life, too. I mean, what's the point in staying alive if you're miserable every day? I mean, the whole point of this is you want to put back as much stuff as you can to give you as close to the quality of life you have now as possible. You don't want to have to suffer and go without if you don't have to. And believe me, when you run out of toilet paper, you're suffering. So toilet paper is this choice. Number 2 on the list is medical supplies. Now, medical supplies is a very broad term. It's vague. But it consists of everything from Band-Aids, gauze, bandages, antibacterial cream, hydrogen peroxide, rubbing alcohol, your aspirin, your Tylenol, your ibuprofen, allergy pills, just all the things that you have to take every day. America is one of the most highly medicated countries on earth. With your prescription medications, it's going to be hard to stock those up because a lot of that stuff is controlled. You can only have so much at a time, and you have to take it. So it's not like you can get it and not take it. But things that you need, like Tylenol is a great thing to stock up because acetaminophen takes down fevers. So in a situation where you get a fever, you're sick and you have a fever, that can kill you if it gets bad enough. But simple Tylenol can help reduce that fever and keep you alive. Ibuprofen reduces swelling. And not only does it give you pain relief, but it reduces swelling. So if you have a problem like where you twist your ankle or sprain your knee or wrist or something like that, ibuprofen can help quite a bit. Of course, you want your hydrogen peroxide and stuff like that for cuts. You want your antibacterial creams. If you have asthma or something like that, try to keep back as many inhalers as you can, because that's something that is very important. Because if you can't breathe, you can't do anything. So you're going to need those things. You need to use your inhaler. And inhalers, unfortunately, are something that's prescription. I wish they weren't. I wish you could just go down to Walmart and buy inhalers. I don't see why they should be controlled with prescriptions, but they are. So try to keep them back. Don't chuck them out if you have them. It's some things you want to think about. Something like if you're diabetic and you need insulin, that's going to be a tough one because that's, like I said, it's controlled by prescription. But in any case that you can, you want to try to keep back as much of your medication as you possibly can without putting yourself at risk. Because you have to consider that in an emergency situation, especially a situation where the economy fails, the government fails, something like that, and you're really off the grid and on your own, any medications you take that are prescription, you're not going to be able to get a hold of unless you go down to Rite Aid or CVS or something like that and take them. I mean, if the grid is still up and if society is still operating the way it normally operates, and you can go get your prescriptions, but if society is still operating the way it's operating, you're not going to need your long-term storage because you can just go down to Walmart and buy whatever you need. So this is one of those situations where you want to try to get the basics. A lot of this stuff you can pick up dirt cheap at Walmart, Dollar Tree, places like that. And it wouldn't hurt every time you go shopping just to pick up a couple dollar, bottle of acetaminophen or a couple dollar bottle of ibuprofen or, a box of Band-Aids. Hydrogen peroxide is like 40 cents for a bottle. So pick up a couple of them bad boys and store them back. If the situation arises where you need this stuff, you're going to be so glad that you have it. Because there's nothing like your health. I mean, that's the most important thing. And when people think of medical supplies, they only think of trauma. They only think of, oh man, I need to get big gauze pads because I might have a gunshot or a knife wound. Or if I cut myself, I'm going to need to take care of that. I need Band-Aids and antibiotic cream. Okay, cool. That stuff most people think about. Most people don't think to stock aspirin, Tylenol, ibuprofen. If you're like me, I take these little pink allergy pills that I buy at Costco, but you can get them they're basically Benadryl. They're generic Benadryl. Those things, man, I couldn't live without them things. I mean, I could live without them if I had to. It would be a mess because it'd be, everything leaking out everywhere. But I could live without them if I had to, but I don't want to. And like at Costco, they're like $3 for a big-ass bottle of them. So there's no reason why every time I go, I can't pick up one or two and put back. And then if the situation arises where I can't just go to the store and buy anything anymore, I've got a really nice supply so that I don't ever have to deal with a lot of drainage and a lot of terrible, gross things happening while I'm trying to survive. You want to try to keep as much of this modern world as you can for your long-term storage. So little things like that, little things like those allergy pills for me are very important because they make the quality of life a lot better and they keep you functioning at a good level. So whatever your medical issues are, whatever medications you take on a daily basis, stock them up. It's that simple. The prescriptions are going to be more difficult to do. I don't really know what to tell you on that other than try to conserve if you can. Antibiotics are a real big important thing, and maybe you guys can leave down in the comments some ideas there, because antibiotics could really save your life, and they're another one of those things that you have to have a prescription to get. But most people, when they get antibiotics, there's some left over because they tell you to take every single pill and don't stop. But, once you start feeling better, maybe a day later, you always stop. So you always have these partial bottles of antibiotics. Don't throw them suckers out, man. Save them. Because that little bit of antibiotics will add up with other prescriptions you get of antibiotics later that you save a little bit of. And that might save your life someday. It's all about that depression mindset that our grandparents had, where you save everything and you think of different uses for everything. That is what survival is all about. So whatever your issues are medically, whatever pills you take, whatever you need to keep going, stock up on. We have reached the end of our list. And the number one thing that most people don't think about for their long-term storage is water. I know that sounds retarded. Everybody can just turn on their tap and water just comes pouring out as if by magic. I live up in the mountains. I have a well. I turn my faucet on, water comes out of the well. It's a beautiful thing. The problem is, in a situation where you have no power, if you have a well, you have no water. Because it takes electricity to operate the well pump to bring the water into the house. You could always go out and drop a bucket down your well. They make these little things that look like a PVC pipe that goes all the way down. I have that technology so I can get water if I have to. I also have a cistern at my house that I can direct water into from the roof. So that's a really good way to store water. If you live in the city or an apartment or a house in town where you do not have that capability, gallons of water are less than $1. Just pick them up and put them somewhere in a closet, in your junk room. Buy some totes and put water in it. Water is very, 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 very important. The old thing they always say is you can go 3 weeks without food and only 3 days without water. That's the saying you hear all the time. You have to have water to survive. It's a little misleading because, yes, you will not die until around 3 days if you do not drink water. But the fact of the matter is you become useless after one. I have actually been to the point where I've been very, very dehydrated. And this is how it breaks down for you. The first couple hours, you're fine. You might feel a little bit thirsty, but you're fine. Once you reach 4 to 6 hours, your throat's really dry. Your mouth, it feels like it's got sand in it. And you really want to drink. 10 to 12 hours in, you start getting bad headaches. They start off small, but they grow, and it feels like somebody's inside your head with a hammer and chisel trying to break its way out. As you move along, you start kind of getting disorientated. You can't really think properly. You start feeling dizzy. Things start swimming in front of your eyes to where you can't focus correctly. You get really tired. You might start feeling very sick on your stomach. A little bit later on, you'll start vomiting like crazy. And all that does really is suck every bit of water that you have in your body out. So by the end of the first day, beginning of the second day, you have reached a point where you are in a very dangerous situation. If you aren't already laid up to where you can't even get up anymore, you're close. By the end of the second day, you're going to be laid out. You're not going to be getting up, moving around anymore. You're not going to be thinking rationally about what to do. You're going to be in serious medical trouble. Sometime between the second day and the third day, you're going to lose consciousness. And your body's going to start shutting down. By the third day, you'll be dead. I know this is a bummer, but that's how it works. It's not like you go 3 days and you're just fine, and then all of a sudden you drop dead. You really have 24 hours to find the water before it starts really affecting you in major ways. Water is not something that you can put off. Water is not something that you can just say, oh, it's not a big deal, I can just wait for it to rain. No, you can't. You've got to have it every day. The other aspects of water are not just for drinking. Your toilet don't flush without water. You can't wash your hands without water. You can't wash your body without water. You know all those hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pounds of dehydrated food you've put back. You need water in order to hydrate it, to eat it. I mean, you can eat it dehydrated, but you're not going to get the full potential of your food supply that way because it's going to be concentrated. It's not going to expand with the water and make more for you to eat. Water is so important. And most people, I would say 95% of people at least, they never think about it. They just take for granted the fact that they can turn their faucet on and water comes pouring out. In some places in the world, it's not that easy. Some places in the world, people die because they don't have water. Or they have contaminated water. So a good, clean supply of water is crucial for you to survive. As long as the grid stays up, you can turn your faucet on and get water. That's great. If the grid goes down, if there's an electromagnetic pulse that takes out the electric grid, or if there is a nuclear disaster where the entire grid is taken out because the government no longer functions, if there's an economic collapse that leads to anarchy, any of those scenarios, or 100 other scenarios that I'm not even thinking of, can cause that water not to come out of your tap anymore. When that happens, you better be prepared. Now, this is a situation also, the cool thing is you don't have to spend money if you don't want to have a good supply of this stuff. You can simply take your gallon water jugs, your gallon milk jugs, your 2-liter soda jugs, and rinse them out real good, clean them, fill them up with water, put the lids on them, and put them away. It's that simple. If you have clean water, like I would say 99.9% of Americans do, coming out of your tap for free, well, it's not free, you pay a water bill, but you don't have to pay each time you fill something up. If you have that water coming out of your tap, all you have to do is fill up containers and store it, and you're good to go. So believe me, this is number one on this list for a reason. Water is the most important thing for your survival, period. Nothing is more important. And unfortunately, it's the thing that nobody ever considers that they need to put back because they always just assume it'll be there. So definitely put back water. It's the most important thing. Thank you guys for watching this. Please subscribe to my channel. Please like the video. Please check out my other videos. For those of you that don't know who I am, my name is James Hershey Jr., and I'm a horror author. I wrote the I Am Legion series and Call of the Wind Spirits. Check them out. Do me a favor and check them out. You can find them, on Walmart website, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, all those places. But I think one of the best places to get it is Amazon, because you can buy it on Kindle. And right now all my books are on sale for 99 cents. I don't know when you're watching this video. It might be years from when I actually made the video, so it might not be on sale anymore. But the regular price is only $2.99 for the books on Kindle, and they're on sale for 99 cents. And I also have paperback versions and audiobook versions available on Amazon as well of those books. So check them out and see what you think. If you're into horror and you like those kind of things, I have a lot of readers, and they really, really love the books. So do me a favor and show your support, and check out the books, and subscribe to the channel. And most of all, man, start putting this stuff back, because if something happens, I want you guys to be safe. I love you guys. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next video.